Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug.Show. My name's Doug Cunnington. And in this episode, we're bringing back someone I haven't talked to in a pretty long time. It's Wesley. And he's going to tell us about a site that he started in 2019. It took him about 1 month of work. There are 58 posts. It is mostly or primarily KGR content, which is pretty amazing. And it's been earning about $400 per month on average for a very long time. And it could even be more because Wesley recently added Ezoic to the mix. So previously the $400 per month was primarily from Amazon. So Wesley, welcome back. It's good to see you. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks. I'm glad to be on here.
So let's just, dig, kind of right into some of the details, and then we'll back into your story, and then we'll return back to more details. But I just want to make sure I got the numbers right here. So
Okay.
it's a site that you pretty much threw up in about a month.
Yeah.
And is it all keyword golden ratio content?
Yeah. I decided to really test out the KGR back then in 2019. It was still kind of new to me, and I decided just to do a narrow focus site, and I put everything up in 1 month, and I let it ride since then.
That's amazing. And it's good to hear these sort of case studies to prove keyword golden ratio. The maybe alarming thing, and I asked you this before we started recording, was how algorithm updates have treated it. And I want to jump to that because I know some of our more advanced listeners that they're already thinking about that. Like, hey, didn't this site
hmm
get hit by algorithm updates? So can you talk about any impacts that you've seen over the past 3 years?
With the site being pretty, product focused, you would think it would have gotten hit by some of these updates, but it hasn't. I haven't really noticed, any changes in traffic, no sharp decline or nothing like that, just nice and steady.
Amazing. Okay. So what's your background, Wesley? Like who are you and what do you do, just for the people that didn't hear the first interview?
Well, I'm essentially just at the core, I'm just a stay-at-home dad. you know, I homeschool, I do, all of the dad things you can think of, and I was in a position to where I wanted to spend more time with my kids, and that's how I got in this business originally, just so I could be home more.
Okay. And so you're doing this, niche sites and content sites full time, basically.
Yeah, I've been doing this full time for, I guess, coming up on a decade. Not quite, but getting there. Yeah.
And I realize, there's an issue with my question. So you may not be spending a full time amount of like hours per week. So I am curious, how many hours
Right.
per week do you work? Because obviously you're a stay-at-home dad, so that's a full-time job too,
Yeah.
right?
You know what? To be honest, I have no idea. Like, I just work a little here and there when I can. But to me, that's the more valuable side of this business, is the freedom of being able to work when you want to, as much you want to, or as little, day in, day out. That's the real value of this business to me, anyway.
Yeah, me too. The autonomy that you have over your time is so
hmm
valuable. And I don't have kids and I even see the value in it, but it must be even more valuable to you and your family, and then, being able to homeschool and that sort of thing.
Definitely.
All right, let's get into the site details. So in 2019, this stuff was a little bit new to you. Keyword golden ratio was a little bit new, and you thought, "Hey, I'm gonna check it out." So can you talk about the planning behind it and what you thought it could be? And I guess now's a good time, when we were chatting before, to mention that you even kind of classify this as a micro niche site. So it's kind of small in scope, but can you tell us about
Yeah.
the inception of this project?
Yeah. So I first learned about the KGR, and I was like, well, let's really put this to the test in my mind. But I also didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on the project. So that's why I focused on I figured 100 articles or less. And then, so like, for an example, I guess would be if I was in the, let's say, bubblegum niche, the site would only be focused on like one flavor of bubblegum. That's what it would be to me. And then, yeah, we did all KGR topics and all the, work in 1 month, and we launched it from there.
For the keyword research, Did you do that yourself or did you outsource it in any capacity?
No, I did it all myself. Yep.
All right. Did you have any issue coming up with the 58 or you kind of had the hang of it?
No, no, I had the hang of it. It's all fairly simple. Just doing the all in title. I checked each word or each keyword rather, and then if it fit in there, I'll add it. I added it to the list, and if it didn't, I threw it out. I wanted to do only KGR for this particular site.
Did you do any further competition analysis or checking of the SERPs to see what was out there before you got it written?
Back then it's hard to remember, but I want to say I did look just to like if there's any very strong competitors. I would try to avoid it, but other than that, no.
All right. And looking back, like, do you think you could have done anything better on the keyword research side or some of the early pieces selecting the niche maybe?
No, nothing I can think of. I think it all came out pretty good. You can always go through and check for more confirmation that the keyword's easier, but I didn't really dive that deep other than past, the all-in title and KGR, to be honest.
Do you have very much informational content on the site?
Yeah, so I think that's one reason I haven't been hit by any of these updates. The Google algorithm is because it is roughly, I want to say 25% affiliate, and the rest is all informational. But I make sure to put as many, well, I wouldn't say as many, I don't go overboard, but I do have affiliate links in all my informational content.
Okay. And how do you decide which pieces of informational content to put the affiliate links in there?
Just if it comes up naturally in the writing throughout the body of the article, we'll do a contextual link. But I also would use, AAWP, as like a nice little product box. And I include, because the website's very narrowly focused, I would link to this particular item at the top and bottom of every article. Just a nice little product box.
Okay. Obviously something related, so the audience is a good match for the
Yes.
product. Cool. But one thing I like to say is if you could help the reader do it faster, cheaper, easier, then it's a good idea to recommend the product that can help them do that. So I imagine you followed some of the same ideas, right?
Yes, definitely.
Cool. And for the specific, all right, one thing that I've seen is if you go back and improve content, maybe you add some FAQs, you just make sure things are up to date. That is really helpful for sort of longevity in ranking. Have you gone back and improved content, or have you pretty much been hands off since you published it?
I've been completely hands off, but I do agree with you that going back and updating content is a good thing to do. It's just not something I have done with this site. My whole goal was like set it and forget it, and that's kind of what I've done.
Okay. Yeah, it's amazing because I have actually seen this quite a bit on Niche Site Project where I've neglected content and it's slowly declined over a couple years. And I went back and updated some content very recently, and organic traffic is up by like 30 to 35%. And I'm like, all right, I really need to go back. And traffic is dropping on other pages that I have not updated. So it's like I got to get back and update some of that content.
Yeah.
So, all right. As far as the writing and how you structure the content, do you have any tips on that, or how did you approach it? Did you hire one agency or something?
No, I hire all my writers just through Upwork, but I do have templates and things like that for particular post type, depending on it's like a Q&A or a review, things like that.
Okay. And I mean, I guess I probably should ask this a minute ago, but how do you define a micro niche site versus a niche site or an authority site? Everyone has their own little flavor. I think it's a lot of sort of marketing behind it, but how do you define it, Wesley?
Yeah. Well, my definition would be a site really with around 100 or fewer posts with a very narrow focus. That's really the only two things that I would go by to call it a micro niche site.
Okay. So not too much content, narrow focus.
Yeah.
Got it. And for your templates, is there anything unusual, or is it just kind of standard and you just put a template around a kind of a proven way to write content?
No, I wouldn't say anything's out of the ordinary. I do make sure my product review based articles have plenty of informational content within them. I don't just jump in. Like I've seen some posts that will do like 10 items and it's strictly all, just about the products. I try to supplement with information surrounding the topic or products as well. But other than that, it's pretty standard, really.
Okay. Very good. And I guess anything else around the content, it sounds like you were using AAWP for feature boxes and perhaps comparison tables.
Yep, that's right.
So yeah,
nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing else off there. Anything different there? No.
All right. And I'm still on the on-site topic. So anything with internal linking or content clusters or silos or anything like that?
Well, the site being as small as it is, it's pretty much just one cluster itself because, you can pretty much link to anything you want to because it's so, micro, as we'd say. But no, I just link where it makes sense, just keep it natural to where if I'm bringing up something the reader is interested in, link to it and just keep it all where it flows real nicely. I don't try to force anything.
Okay. When you were ordering the content, you hired the writers directly. Did you draft the content in WordPress yourself, or did you have someone working on that for you?
No, back then I would have the writer just submit it to me like in a Word doc, and then I would do all the editing and uploading myself. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just curious, have you gotten to a point now, and we'll talk about maybe a little bit of your portfolio later, but are you at a point now where you do have like an editor / content manager?
Yes. Yeah. I have a team of writers and an editor that helps me now. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Just curious if you remember how much you spent in total on the content and any other expenses with the site.
Let me just pull up this screenshot here. So in total, the site is about just over 75,000 words. So I would have paid somewhere around 1,500 for the content total.
1,500. Cool. And then were there any other costs aside from like hosting or something?
No, just hosting, basic things. AAWP if you don't have it, something like that. But no, that's pretty much it.
Very nice. Okay, let's move on to link building then. So typically, and one of the sales pitches for KGR is like you generally don't have to build links if it's not too competitive. I mean, that's the whole idea. So did you do any kind of link building or outreach in any capacity?
None, absolutely none. I don't even do that much link building in my own portfolio now. It's not my, and I think a lot of people can agree with this. It's not the most fun thing to do. So yeah, I don't do a whole lot of that.
Okay. And looking back, I mean, would you have done anything, different overall?
You know what? I really don't think so. I'm really happy with the way the site turned out. For the way it's performed for 1 month of work, I don't think you can really beat that.
And you said you've had it for 3 years. Like how quickly did you start getting traffic? And if you could remember back the early earnings in the first few months, when did you level out to that $400 per month?
I don't remember when I leveled around the 400, but I would say within the first year. And then because traffic took maybe 6 months, 7 months to really hit, it's usually that standard sandbox period. And then traffic starts to grow. I want to say this site did a little bit better than that in terms of when it first started getting traffic. But it's pretty much leveled off. I think each year, now this is total for the entire year, it's probably around 75,000 views for the whole year. I think in 2021, last year, it did 90,000. So just a little bit better for the entire year. But it's pretty much, about the same.
Okay. Is there any seasonality with this niche?
No, not really. But I will say a little, well, how should I say this? Things, I don't know if you remember when there was like riots happening and people were looting stores.
Yeah.
My niche was affected by that a little bit, and I saw spikes in traffic. But other than that.
Interesting. Very interesting. So
Yeah.
you just saw spikes in traffic, but otherwise it's pretty stable. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Got it. And let's see. I'm trying to think of like other areas. I mean, it's such a simple sort of concept, and you were
Mhm.
pressure testing the KGR, which thank goodness it worked out. I should have done a test like this, but I'm a little lazier these days than I used to be. But I mean, just doing the math, you've earned something like 14,000 or so dollars, and if you take out your expenses, you've earned a pretty decent chunk of change here. Pretty
Yeah.
impressive. When did you, I guess, know that it was working?
Pretty, that first year, as soon as it started earning, it was pretty noticeable that it was working and bringing in money. And yeah, it's not and I will say this, even though it's like the smallest site in my portfolio, it's kind of one of my favorites because I just, 1 month and it was done,
Yeah.
and that was it. And then I don't know. So for some reason, I have like this. I know you're not supposed to be emotionally attached to your business and your sites, but I have like an emotional attachment to this site for that reason.
Was this one of the first ones that helped you get traction?
It was one of my earlier ones, definitely. I think at the time, maybe it was just like the second site I had done. I had like a main project, and I just wanted to do this like as and I didn't want to swap my focus, right? I didn't want to swap my focus to a second project while I'm still doing my main. So I was like, if I could just put this up in a month and never touch it, and then focus back on my main site, I'll be good to go. So,
Got it.
yeah.
All right. So I'm curious, and then we could talk about your portfolio, but are there more keywords that you could put in here, or is it so narrow that you really can't expand anymore?
I have went back and looked recently, and there are maybe 5 topics I could add to it. That if I'm really targeting low hanging fruit, I could probably get just a handful of topics. But yeah.
Okay. So it's been 3 years and it's still performing, but the SEO landscape has changed, as we know. Do you think someone could do the same thing right now and pick a different niche, right? But
Mhm.
same kind of scenario. Do you think this could be recreated?
Oh, I definitely do. I definitely think it could. And the concept that I used at the time was to basically just browse Amazon, find an item, and start there, and then just kind of dig around. Like I guess if somebody else was going to try to recreate this, they just say like, go look at, they come across a shovel and then just keyword research these different shovels or different kinds and see what's there. It just takes a little patience digging around, but I think it could be recreated pretty easily today. Yeah.
And I want to go deeper, and I'm not sure if this is going to go to a dead end, but you said, find a product, start looking for some keywords around that. Of course, when we're talking keyword golden ratio, you end up with, some pretty specific, very long phrases. Do you have tips on how you do keyword research to find those? Let's say you're not super familiar with the concept or the product specifically. So how would you start doing that keyword research?
Yeah, I would just start if the person is new, Google's your friend. If you don't want to spend money, you don't want to, because a lot of these tools can be expensive. So just figure out some seed key phrases, like for affiliate articles, obviously like best, like best shovel for this, best shovel for that. Start there, but branch off into other things. So you can type in, use the seed phrases like budget. What are some other ones? I'm not even sure, but there's a bunch of other seed phrases you can use. Just type them into Google, see what comes back. Yeah.
And then I'll just pepper on top there. You can start with those, and then you'll see like related searches
Oh,
where people
definitely. Yep.
also search, and you could probably hammer those. And I
And
assume,
something I'll add to that, if like you're saying, what people also ask, if people go and get there's a extension on Chrome called Seo Minion. You can literally change the setting to crawl people also ask into so many layers, and just set it on that, run it, and it'll grab you like a spreadsheet of it'll keep going down. People also ask like 3-4 layers, and come back with a ton of questions you can use to for keyword research.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah, I've heard of that extension, but I didn't use it. So I've heard of it. So it's SEO
yeah,
Minion.
yeah, yeah. It's free. It's a good one.
Nice. All right. Well, anything else on this project before we move on and ask you about your portfolio a little bit?
No, nothing that I can really think of. I would just like to say, like if a beginner could really jump into something like this and just test the waters with KGR, because I think KGR is really good for a beginner. It's a form of confirmation. It's like, oh, this phrase is easier. This KGR kind of confirms that. And then, even if you have a micro site like this making $400 a month, that's either some of your rent, mortgage, or your car payment, something like that. So.
I know, I remember you used to come to the live streams and stuff, Wesley, and I was going to say a lot of people will shit on the KGR or there's a lot of noise. In fact, there's YouTube channels where their most popular video is one where they like say, I don't like KGR, don't use it, blah, blah, blah. Why do you think people want to shit on this free idea?
Well, I think it's one, there might be some monetary gain in they're trying to sell a product, right? That might be one reason. But I don't know. People have, I don't know. Some people just have their own reasons, I guess. But I really think for a beginner, it's great. It's free. You can confirm the keyword or topic you're using is easy or not. I don't see nothing wrong with that.
It's just one of our tools that we can use if we want to. It's not it's not a hammer. You got to go around hitting everything. You can use it judiciously. And like you said, get some confirmation if you're not quite sure. So
yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. What other sites do you have in your portfolio? So you said, maybe this specific site was maybe your second, you're a few years under your belt now. So yeah, what's your business look like these days?
So my portfolio, I'll be kind of vague, so I don't want to give away any URLs or anything like that. But my portfolio is around 5 sites, and total is low 5 figures, somewhere around there. And yeah, I try to manage about 5, and anything larger than that, or say if I'll get, I don't know, like a scratch for like just have to start another site, I'll sell one off, and then I try to keep the number at 5. If I add a 6th or 7th, I'm looking to sell something else to bring it back, that number back down. But yeah.
Okay. And have you sold many of your sites over the years?
Yeah, I sold one early last year. I sold a site for about 80,000, and then I sold another one. I think the year before that, it was a little bit smaller for about 25,000. But yeah.
Okay. And do you sell directly to the buyer, or have you worked through a broker? You don't have to mention them here or anything, but just curious.
Yeah, I've used a broker both times. Yep.
Okay. And don't mention them now that I'm going to start asking, but what was the experience like? Were there any issues working with a broker? Did you feel like, their fees were fair, that sort of thing?
The fees are high, in my opinion. But I think at the same time, a broker can also bring you a pool of buyers that will bring you a higher multiple. So maybe in there that fee is justified, but I'm not dissatisfied with my 2 sales. I'll say that. I was happy with how things went, the transaction, and it was pretty smooth overall.
Okay. So that's good. Yeah. The brokers they have to run a business and everything like that. But one of I don't sell many sites, but I was going to say that one of the big advantages of like having a platform where like this podcast, for example, I can say, hey, I'm selling a site, and then I don't have to work through a broker. And that's a huge amount of money. And just, it removes a lot of back and forth potentially. There's headaches behind that. You're paying for convenience, and, you brought up potentially you can get a higher multiple because you're working with a broker. It also can help you sell it a little bit faster, maybe 20,000 people will get their eyes on that deal versus, maybe a few thousand if you have a smaller platform. So there's certainly trade-offs.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, with your other sites, I'm curious. I know we can't go too in depth, but like how big are they? You mentioned you have a team. Do you do any link building on those sites, or are you pretty much a content person?
Yeah, I'm pretty much a content person. My sites, I think my largest one has around 800 and something articles, something around there. And then the rest are less than that. But yeah, I just focus on content. I don't spend much time on link building. Now, I do some tactics that try to attract links naturally and things like that, adding statistical information, infographics, things like that to bring in natural links as much as possible. And I've picked up stuff, links from like howstuffworks.com, some powerful domains like that. But I don't actively go out of my way to link build. I think the most I've ever done was like a spurt of help a reporter out, so I might do that every now and then. But other than that, not much.
Okay. And did Haro help you out? Did you get any links from that?
I did get some links from that. I did. I think when I was doing it, it was great. But I feel like it's getting more diluted with a lot of link builders that kind of mess up the ecosystem. So like us as site builders and marketers, we kind of when all of us get our hands on something, they'll ruin it eventually. It seems like. But yeah. So I don't know the current state of it, but
right.
I don't use it so much. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, that marketers do ruin things because it starts to work. And then, I had a course on it, and I feel like shortly after that, and then there were other courses, by the way, but a lot of people started jumping on and using Haro. So yeah, it's definitely diluted. I think it's a little harder to stand out. Now, I don't know if you were on this live stream, Wesley, but a couple of weeks ago, someone said, "Hey, I just started using Haro, and it's been great. I've gotten like a handful of links, and it's only been a couple of weeks." So I think
it's definitely it still works for sure.
Yeah, right on. Well, tell me a little bit about your team. How many writers do you have? Did you find it hard building the team or anything?
No, I use Upwork, and I have changed my process over time for the way I message the people and select candidates to test out for writing. But my team right now is probably about, I think, 5 people, maybe 6, I can't remember. And then I have 1 editor. And then everything goes just to like a conveyor belt system. I have a pool of content. The writer can pick what they want from the pool, submit it on their deadline. Editor picks it up, and by the time I see it, I'll review it in WordPress, make sure everything looks good, and hit publish.
Perfect. And I like that. That's how I kind of have my setup as well. It's good to have a touch point, so that you at least are looking at the content.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could go for a few months and realize that there was some issue that you didn't know about. So
I'm too afraid to like hand over the publish button for sure.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, anything else on your portfolio that you want to mention?
No, not really. Nothing I can think of. No.
All right. So for people that want to kind of replicate what you've done, do you have any other specific tips? And I know, you kind of focused on, newer people and using KGR to test it out, but where you are now and you have a few sites in your portfolio, any broad tips you can provide to people that want to maybe think about their journey over a 3-year period?
I would say if they're new, and thinking about their first 3 years, I would say stick to one site. Don't try to start multiple or build a portfolio first. I would recommend focusing on your first site till it's at least close to 5 figures. You don't have to quite hit that. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's personal home finances are different. But I would at least wait till 7,000 or 8,000 a month before you want to start doing a second or third site, in my opinion.
I like that. Focus is key, and it's stressful if you have more sites. Trust me.
Oh, definitely. You'll compound that one mistake over and over if you don't.
100%. All right. Well, Wesley, this has been awesome. You have a new YouTube channel, so I want you to tell us about it a little bit, and we'll certainly link up to it.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. You can catch me at Niche Site Dojo. I'm sharing what I know, and I'm creating videos as much as I can. I'm still very new, so the videos might be a little rough around the edges. I haven't quite gotten this whole camera thing down yet, but I'm doing my best, and I'm just sharing my knowledge there with everybody. So
awesome. Hey, do you have any hot videos on the list that you're already published, or maybe that you're going to create soon?
Well, since we're talking about this site here, if they want to see some more on it, I have a video that covers this specific micro niche site in more details. I share some more numbers and things there. If they want to go check that out, that'd be cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Wesley. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.